What's up, guys? We are going to start the show off with our wonderful new theme song, and then we're going to jump right into it. We're going to do a little shorter show this week, today because I'm dealing with the damn heat wave, and I got to hide out in the bedroom because it's too hot in the rest of the house. Um, and and B, we normally come on Thursdays, but here we go.
Goals and assists you don't wanna miss. Shut the fuck up, hit the ice with us. Bucks flying fast, we're your hockey podcast.
Get it. Get it, Reckless.
Hey, man. Thank you for writing us this beautiful theme song, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the wonderful take on the Stanley Cup today. I wanted to add a couple of new facts to that. Since we're talking the Cup Finals, do you know the? I talked about it earlier. Mark, hold on, I got the name here. I think it was Mark Hallowell. Ended up getting my trivia question right about the only person whose name appears spelled 5 different times on the Stanley Cup.
Oh, wow.
That would be Montreal goaltender Jacques Plante.
Nice.
I'll post later the every different spelling. It's in one of the comments. He did admit to using Google, so he did kind of cheat on the trivia question.
Oh, okay.
But I'll allow it. I'll allow it. That's one of the more obscure Stanley Cup facts. I also posted a picture of me with the cup from the 1995 Devils 20th celebration, and they just showed a little bit about Phil Pritchard on the game, who is the if for those not in the know, is the keeper of the cup, is the guy with the white gloves who carries the cup out and sets it on the table every single time.
What does he do throughout, like, obviously into the season? We know what he's doing. He's carrying it. What's a day in the life look like for this guy?
Oddly enough, I had a conversation with him at another New Jersey Devils event. It's basically his job is to hang out. 1-0 Florida.
Oh, God.
Verhaeghe with the goal.
Boom.
Wow, that was a nice goal.
How fast was that? How had the game going? How fast was that?
It is 15 minutes and 33 seconds left in the first period. So
okay.
Roughly 4.5 minutes in. Nice little tip there by Verhaeghe. Way to get in front of the goalie. That's an old school hockey play. Just put yourself in front of the net, throw the puck at the net, and get a tip. But so a day in the life of Phil. Mostly, so the Stanley Cup tours both Canada and the U.S. pretty regularly. For those not in the know, there are technically 2 Stanley Cups. The real one that gets handed out and a replica one that tours. He tours with the replica one pretty regularly. The real one, the original, gifted by Lord Stanley, lives at the Hockey Hall of Fame when it's not in the possession of the teams who have won it that year. But he told me basically his life is yelling at people like me who, despite direction of don't touch the cup, decide to lean in and kiss the cup.
Oh, Can't do it.
I mean, you know what? Like I said on the post, man, worth it. Like how many opportunities do you get? I've seen the Stanley Cup in person twice. Once when I lived in Columbus, Ohio, because the Blue Jackets were coming. 3 times actually. Now that I realize it, once in Columbus, Ohio, when the Blue Jackets were coming, the 95 20th anniversary celebration in 2015. And then I forget what was going on with the Devils, that they had managed to get the cup back over the summer. Obviously, the replica cup, not the real one.
Right.
But Adam, do you know what they do with the rings of the cup? Because the rings, the layers, rings, whatever you want to call them, they've stopped growing. Do you know what they do when they get to the top?
You know, when they fill up a ring, and I might be off on my specifics here, but I believe it gets retired into the Hockey Hall of Fame, or I know it's a hockey-related museum, and then they add the new ring so it can continue its current state, size, and remaining the same way that it's kind of meant to, without making too many changes to it.
A tie game. Holy crap. That was quick.
Boom.
Yes, you're correct. It is retired into the Hockey Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame has, I want to say they got like 5 of them now at this point, maybe 10 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Other bit of trivia here. Do you know what is engraved in the inside of the bowl?
I do not.
Some of the original losers of the Cup Finals.
Oh, epic fail! Epic fail, guys, to get your name inside that cup.
Well, I mean, if you look back, it was a junior hockey trophy to start. So the engraving the losers was kind of a big deal.
Okay.
But give me some of your memories on the on that Dallas Cup run.
Man, just a lot of Pantera going on. Obviously, I don't recall whose house it was, but the cup got thrown from the roof into the pool and got dented, so that was unfortunate. Hanging out with, like I said, they were very close. Darian Hatcher, Madonna, Ludwig, they were close with that, with Pantera, during coming up with that Stars Fight song. So just a lot of intertwining in between hockey and the music scene there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that kind of hit the news was that it got tossed at a pool party and dented up a little bit.
There we go. Oh, that wouldn't be the first time they got tossed. First time was Mario Lemieux.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty sure Mario jumped into the pool with it.
Oh, really? Wow. How many beers have been drank from the cup that we know of?
Hundreds, probably.
Right.
I know a few babies peed in it.
Oh. Ouch.
But Adam, give me a sec. Give me your favorite cup memories. Besides that Dallas run.
Kind of a one-man team here, so it's 99 or die kind of deal. But yeah, you got plenty of obvious times that come to mind. We got several Red Wing Cups. You got the Blackhawks victories. Stars coming close a few times there. COVID year in Tampa. That was sad. It was a weird season, with everything kind of closed in. But those are the few that kind of come to mind. What about you? I'm sure you've got some Eastern Coast perspective there.
Well, I was at I was at Game 7 in 2003. Um, if any of you guys remember that famous picture of Scott Stevens walking through the tunnel with the cup over his head, I am roughly 12 rows above that. And all of us basically almost fell into the tunnel to try to touch the cup that Scott Stevens lifted it up over his head.
Oh, wow.
After that win. But I gotta say, probably my favorite Stanley Cup memory. And I apologize, I'm a little overheated here, guys. Trying to get
it's 90 degrees over
hydrated
here too.
It's been 100 and I think the heat index today was 110 here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my favorite Stanley Cup memory has got to be my first Stanley Cup memory, and that would be watching the Devils win the Stanley Cup against Detroit with my stepdad Keith, and then going to the infamous party in the parking lot at Continental Airlines Arena, which was newly named Continental Airlines Arena at the time. It was Brendan Byrne Arena. It was a Meadowlands Arena. It's the Izod Center now, or was the Izod Center when it still hosted events, and now it is the set for one of the Walking Dead shows.
Oh, wow.
They record a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's basically just a movie set. But the party in the parking lot, when Marty won his first cup, Scotty Stevens won his first cup, that 95 year has gotta be probably my favorite cup memory, being in the parking lot there with everybody chugging beers.
Nice.
I talked about last week. I talked about the being at the Game 6 against the New York Rangers, where Adam Henrique scored that goal. There's something to be said about Adam still scoring every time his team is up against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like Henrique scored last game. He's this guy. I want to call him a kid because he's younger than me, but he's not really a kid anymore. Considering that 2012 rookie season where he scored the Henrique It's Over goal, was 12 years ago. He still just somehow has that clutch factor. I got to think of other NHL clutch performers, or Stanley Cup clutch performers, rather. But one that comes to mind would any beat my team would be Patrick Waugh.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Waugh would be one of those guys I would say would be a Stanley Cup clutch performer. Just, based on the fact that I don't think he lost a cup finals anytime he was in one.
Right.
The other ones, you gotta bring up the Scott Niedermayers of the world. He lost one in what was that 2001 against Ray Bourque and oddly enough Patrick Waugh.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, you won 3 in New Jersey, one in Anaheim. But back to the Cup Finals. Still 1-1 here, guys. About 8.5 minutes left in the first period. Shots about even, and these guys look to be trying to absolutely destroy each other. I've never seen a more physical start to a Stanley Cup final game. Rather, everybody normally kind of just feels each other out and figures out what each other's going to do. But these guys have come out flying and flying hard.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of flying at each other. That's probably a credit to their coaches, Knobloch and Paul Maurice, who Paul Maurice said all the right things. But we're on the cusp of history, and we should probably talk about that. So what'll happen tonight, no matter who wins, is the Panthers have been around for 30 years and never won a cup.
Right, it'd be their first, yeah.
And the other side of the coin would be no team has come back in the Stanley Cup Finals from 3 down since 1942.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the big question. If the Oilers do it and they break, the streak of no Canadian teams winning the cup since 1990 with Patrick Roy with the Canadians. I think it was 92, 93, somewhere in that range. Does that break the Maple Leafs curse? I mean, I know the Maple Leafs won in 67, which is what it is, but being the next team or being the next team to come back from 3 down and being the team the first Canadian team in 30 years almost to 31, I believe, to win the cup. Is that like kind of, like Boston coming back from 3 down against the Yankees to break the curse of the Bambino? I know it's not Toronto doing it, but it's their fellow countrymen.
Right. I mean, yeah, potentially Toronto's a different beast, and I think you got to look at there's a lot of movement on that roster this year, or potential upcoming movement on the upcoming year. So we'll see what that looks like, but honestly, I didn't see Edmonton getting past a game 6 in this one. So yet here we are.
I called Florida in 5, and here we are at game 7. McDavid's got even if the Oilers lose, McDavid's probably the odds-on favorite to win the Conn Smythe.
Right.
And right or wrong, right off the post, right or wrong, have your own opinions. The man put up 8 points in 2 games. Not sure the stat line tonight yet because I'm kind of doing the show and watching at the same time.
Right.
But the guy has been, once he woke up, he's been unstoppable in these finals, which, I haven't seen a performance in the finals like that. I don't think ever. At least, that I can remember. I've been around 36 years. I'm sure somebody else has done it. I'm sure somebody else has been just as awesome in the finals, and I'm sure someone's going to yell at me about it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my memory, I don't remember a player doing, scoring 8 points in 2 games in the Stanley Cup Finals. I also don't remember a goalie getting the yips as bad as Bobrovsky. And I'll just call it the yips. He just looks off. He was making a lot of high danger saves earlier in the series. And he's been getting a lot of flack online. I don't agree with it. I think the flack is kind of crappy. I don't understand how you compete with a team where Zach Hyman is scoring again, and McDavid's scoring, and Henrique is scoring, and McDavid's putting up 8 points in 2 games. And then the play the other night where he literally went through the entire roster of Florida
Mm-hmm.
How do you compete with that? Like,
Score
and
more goals.
giving him crap for missing practice is a little bit nuts. I was on Reddit earlier on one of the NHL pages, and everybody was tearing him to shreds about skipping practice yesterday, and I'm like, even the announcers and the analysts are falling asleep on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the guys traveled over 10,000 miles during this series alone.
Right.
Like, in all honesty, I don't. It's got to be a maintenance day, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think what I read online, it was more of just getting him back to like a solid routine. So with some of the series previous that weren't the Cup final, the cadence was a little bit different on the days. So basically, just to kind of get him in that set rhythm and to kind of get him some consistency, I want to say they just, he just kind of sat out practice today just to kind of mentally prepare for the game. So it wasn't anything other than that. It was just basically routine and getting prepped and getting ready for the game. It wasn't. I didn't see anything negative from it or anything that should have come negative from him missing the practice.
Yeah, no. I totally agree. Wholeheartedly agree. He's taken a lot of flack over his career for being lackadaisical at times. And dating back, I can kind of see that. We do have a bit of NHL news to touch on, which would be the Linus Ullmark trade, which I think Ottawa gave up a bushel for a guy who's going to be, a 1A/1B guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was reported that a trade was in the works by Elliot Friedman. That trade has come to fruition, and Linus Ullmark is officially an Ottawa Senator.
Yep.
Which I honestly, if I'm being honest, I didn't see that the Bruins moving on from Ullmark. I knew there had been conversations with the Devils, and I knew that Linus had waived his no trade clause, which was weird. I didn't think that anybody was gonna pay. Hold on, I have it right here, saved in my phone. I didn't think anybody was gonna pay a roster player, another goalie, and a first rounder for Linus Ullmark. He is, one of those maybe franchise goalies. But he lost the starting job in Boston to Swayman.
Mm-hmm.
So is he truly worth that much capital? Giving up your first round pick, giving up a Jonas Corposalo who's a solid backup, and giving up a roster forward. Is it worth that much for one dude?
Right.
I'm not sure. Time will obviously tell, and we'll all eventually find out. But what are your thoughts? What do you think's going to happen the rest of this game? Since we're getting up to the 25-minute mark, and we gotta let people go watch the game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a pretty close game. It's not. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It's going to probably be a lot more physicality and underway. And do we go to overtime? What do you think?
I hope so. Game 7, Stanley Cup Finals, overtime.
You get that?
I hope so. I think it's going to end a 2-goal game. Only because I think a team's going to score an empty netter like they did the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be the Panthers, and I think that it's going to be 4-2, and that the curse of Corey Perry will continue.
Oh,
Um,
Corey.
I truly would not mind seeing Adam Henrique raise the Stanley Cup, especially after all he did for my New Jersey Devils. The years he was there during the down years, during all the crap years, and the 2012 Cup run, and being the guy who got us Kyle Palmieri and help, and being willing to be traded to a team that was inferior. The guy is just one of those very much unselfish players, who I would not mind seeing winning a cup. Seeing Corey Perry get over the hump, and win another one, since his last one was dang near 20 years ago.
Right.
That'd be cool. McDavid, best player in the world. He's eventually got to win a cup, right? Like, he can't just never win a cup. He 97 mile per hour shot didn't go in the net. I don't envy anybody who stands in front of those anymore. And I got too many broken fingers and broken collarbone for that anymore. But I truly think Florida is gonna get the job done at home.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna get the job done, 3 other times at this point.
Right.
Well, no, I thought they were gonna get it done 2 other times, game 5 and 6. And I was wrong. But it actually appears to be a crowd filled with Panthers fans tonight, which normally doesn't happen in Sunrise. Sunrise, Florida, suburb of Miami, normally doesn't get the turnout of the rest of the NHL. And there's a whole lot of Canadian transplants down in that area, Florida. Nice and warm. Everybody wants to get out of the cold until it's I'm a quote the great Adam Sandler here. It's too damn hot for a penguin just to be walking around.
Right.
It is freaking hot up here, man. Like,
yeah.
I think last week, well, I know last night it was so hot they had it caused massive thunderstorms across the Philadelphia area, which is roughly 50 miles south of me. So those of you out in the heat, make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your buddies and staying safe in that in those lightning strikes. But back to more of the history of the cup. Adam, do you happen to know who's got the most Stanley Cups of all time? Team wise.
Gotcha. No, I think Google could help me out with that though.
That is the Montreal Canadiens.
I was going to say them, but then something.
I think they have 26.
Their recent performance, I'm like, it can't be them, but it was.
And then you brought up Detroit earlier. Detroit has 11.
Yes.
I'm not sure they're second on the list, but I think they might be. Could be Toronto. Could be any of those other original 6 teams except the Rangers, because I know the Rangers have 4. Yeah, one more than the Devils, and they'll their fans love to run their mouth about it.
Right.
But I think what's going to be key for this game, and that's before I let you go, because it's about to be the end of the first, and I'm sure you got to go take care of that baby.
No doubt.
I think I think the key to this game is going to be whether or not Matthew Tkachuk decides he's going to take over or McDavid decides he's going to take over. I mean, Draisaitl could wake up. He hasn't woken up most of these finals. Wow. That was a great save at the buzzer by Skinner. But who do you think's going to be the keys? And then, we're gonna end the show at 30 minutes because we're doing a special bat night, special bat time show. But who do you think's going to be the keys for either team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be Tkachuk over there with Florida, and then just the McDavid Draisaitl show on the other side of things. I mean, Florida. I mean, you talked about it previously. There's no way Florida's going to lose 4 in a row. So
I don't see a world in which they can.
Right.
It would honestly shock me. But either way, history's getting made tonight. We're either seeing a team raise a cup for the first time, or we're seeing a team, for the first time since 1942.
If it comes down to a goalie war, I mean, my money's on Florida because we've seen what Skinner can potentially turn into. But we've also seen Skinner, do extremely well. But if it does get down to that point, I'd take Florida on that type of battle. But we'll see. 2 more periods to go.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave you with that because we don't got much more else to talk about outside of more Stanley Cup lore, and we just kind of want to let you go watch the game. So I'm gonna leave you with the theme song, boys and girls.
Shut the puck up, place your skates real tight, breakaways and fights. Stay with us all night. Shut the puck up, hear the slap shot sound. For every face-off round, we're the best around. Shut the puck up, join the rink and score. Check your hockey lore, you'll be back for more. One more time with us now, shout.